All right, EIDL grant. Big update today. Thank you for your comments. Almost 400 comments since last night. As always, subscribe and like the video. Drop us comments. We will get back to you within 4 hours. What a big week it has been. This is day 8 of this new channel. 5 videos today for you. EIDL grant, EIDL loan, different video on the loan. This one's about the grant. PUA, second stimulus check, and CARES Act 2.0. Watch that video. All right, let's get right to it. Big updates today about EIDL grant. Now, I'm going to start you off with this full disclaimer. This video is about the grant. It's not about the loan. Some of you keep on dropping in the comments about the loan. Okay, so you know what you're doing today? Today we are launching a new video just about the loan. But I want to talk to you about the grant because it got even more confusing today. I'll tell you why. Today, a lot of people started dropping in the comments here on social media, oh, there's no EIDL grant. There's not a new EIDL grant. There is no new EIDL grant today. What went live today is a loan for agricultural businesses, which, if you are, thank you for tuning in, but I assume you are generally not. I don't think that is the core following of this channel at the moment. There's an EIDL loan for agricultural businesses up to 500 employees that went live today via the SBA. If you see a link that people are sending you that says EIDL, well, if you click the link that goes right into the form, it looks like the EIDL grant. It is not a grant, but it looks like the grant that you filled out in April or late March. And you go through and you're like, oh, this looks sort of familiar. It looks like that EIDL grant again. I'm going to do it again. No, it is the EIDL loan form. Basically, what people are doing is they're sending you a link to something for the form directly, but if you go to the actual SBA website and you see where that form is appearing on it, it says don't click on this form unless you are the following situations. You are an agricultural business. So if you're not an agricultural business, there is no new EIDL loan out there for you. But let's turn to the grant. There is also no new EIDL grant. And so let's recap. And let me also give you some great big news today about what's going on with some of you who have not gotten your EIDL grant money. Where is it? Yesterday, I told you to drop in the comments what happened with you and your grant, when you applied, if you got it, if you spoke to someone at SBA, what they said. Tell me good and tell me bad. How much you got, how much you had hoped to get, how many employees you have. And it's been a great community. It's almost like a water cooler. We're here to basically learn from one another as to what's going on. Yesterday was our biggest video ever. Our biggest video ever in the 8 days, number of views, because of this confusion about a credit check. That all of you reporting that there was a credit check being done on you personally, on the person who filled out the EIDL grant application for a business that has an EIN, and that within 3 to 5 business days after that credit check is done upon your personal name, you're receiving the funds. 3 to 5 business days thereafter, plus 3 days of processing. Let's recap and let me remind you the timelines and what you got to think about. If you see a credit check against your name and you filled out the request for EIDL grant, add 3 to 5 business days on top of that. That is what SBA is giving guidance as to how long you'll get the money after that credit check is done. Okay? On top of that, add 3 business days for processing to your bank account. So 3 to 5 after the security, 3 to 5 business days after this credit check, and then add up to 3 business days for bank to process the direct deposit. Okay, here's the new news, and this is a big one. This is a big one. No one is reporting this to you except us. And I should have thought about this. I don't know why it didn't dawn on me. This might be the reason why some of you are not getting EIDL grant money. Even though you've had a credit check done, even though you're sort of queued up and you think that it's coming, and I'm telling you what's going on right now. There is the potential that and I don't know the answer, but I do know a few of you have dropped this comment and said it happened to them, and it may have happened to some of the rest of you. When you filed out that EIDL application for your business, Frank's Roofing, that has an EIN for the Frank's Roofing business, LLC or incorporation, did you provide the checking account for Frank's Roofing at your local Chase Bank that's Frank's Roofing EIN and has on the title of the checking account Frank's Roofing EIN with Frank's Roofing LLC with that EIN number? Or did you put in your personal checking account number on the SBA application? It appears that some people are not receiving their funds. They're not being denied their funds. They're not receiving their funds because they did not provide the exact same account name as the applicant for the grant. This is so obvious, but I never thought of it. This was never an issue a few years ago, but it's currently the case in financial institutions. It's called third-party checks. Banks do not want to receive or send money between accounts where the names don't match. So SBA is trying to send a check to Frank's Roofing LLC, but the account that Frank's Roofing LLC listed at Chase on the SBA application is for Frank DiGiorno. And Frank DiGiorno's social security number's on that checking account. Bam. Error. It's a third-party transaction. It's a third-party deposit. If you are a First Fidelity customer and you also have an account at Chase and you're trying to send money between an LLC and a personal individual account, it's going to fail because they don't allow third-party transfers. They just don't allow them. So that might be the big shocker for Monday as to why some EIDL grants have not been received. On Friday, I told you that maybe your routing numbers are off. A lot of times people think the routing number for a checking account is the same as the routing number for a savings account at the same bank. They aren't. They're very different. On Sunday, we talked about the credit check history. Are people being denied their EIDL grant because of credit check? The consensus is that, if you applied for an EIDL grant, and I'm not talking about the loan, I'm talking about people who only applied for the grant. It appears everyone had a credit check done against them. People with very, very bad credit scores got their money. So the consensus so far is that no one was denied their EIDL grant money because of a credit score. However, there are a lot of comments by people who back in March or April applied for both an EIDL grant and an EIDL loan who had a bad credit score. And some reason that coupling of those two instruments caused SBA to trigger and look at an SBA officer. We just don't know. We really just don't know. But there's enough comments of, 400 comments since yesterday. Thank you. But there's a lot of comments where people said, hey, they had bad credit scores. They got their check. So what is the progress and who's getting checks and when are they getting it? By now, the time has passed enough. So I'm going to say the following to you. This is where you should be worried and this is when you should not be worried. If you saw the credit check was processed anywhere in the last 7 days, I wouldn't be worried yet. If you saw the credit check processed in the last 7 days and come this Friday after this video, this is Monday, and you don't see anything in your account, pick up the phone, call SBA. Some of you saw credit checks hit your account last Friday and are wondering where your check is on Monday. No. It's too soon. Don't worry about it. If you saw credit checks done in April 16th, April 14th, half a month ago, and you just don't see payment, pick up the phone. As I've said in the prior videos, it has worked generally for most people. Call up the phone and tell SBA, hey, hi, how are you? Be polite and be respectful and say, hey, hi, it's been this many weeks since I applied, and I know a credit check has been done. The fact that it has been more than 4 weeks for some of you triggers your call to be transferred to an escalation department that looks at it a different way and asks to speak to that escalation department. They will look at your application. They won't work on it. They will look at it and give you more information. The fact that it's more than 4 weeks is cause of concern. It is more cause of concern if it's been more than 4 weeks, there's been a credit check and you don't see the funds. That might be something else, and it may not be the credit. It may be just something technically that has gone afoul in the banking information, the banking routing. And now we know, hey, if the name and the accounts don't match, that could be the big issue. Will there be a second EIDL grant? Not currently. Watch our CARES Act 2.0 video today. It talks about that you will definitely see a second stimulus check. I mean, you're going to see a second stimulus check under CARES 2.0, but you're going to see other type of mechanisms, and they're going to be called something else, and they're not going to all have the same acronyms of EIDL and PPP and PUA and all that wonderful stuff that's giving everyone a headache. They're going to be called other stuff, and we're here to update you. So I think that going forward, we're going to see the word CARES Act 2.0 as the more common term, or new stimulus. I mean, the stimulus package is it's such a vague word. I think you're going to hear CARES Act 2.0 because Pelosi and McConnell were using that repetitively today. And that's how you should focus, because those mechanisms might have financial benefits for you, and we're going to update you, but that's where your focus should be. So back to EIDL grant. A lot of people were talking about that letter. There's a letter out there. The letter that members of Congress sent to SBA saying, how dare you send people a check for $1,000 per employee when you knew the CARES Act, blah, 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 blah. Let me back up. And some of you know this, some of you don't. CARES Act called for $10,000 per business that applied for an EIDL grant. Exactly $10,000. Not $8,000, not $7,000, not $1,000, $10,000. So SBA digressed. They said, oh, we're going to pay you $1,000 per employee. A couple of senators got together and wrote a letter to SBA saying, how dare you? You need to start right away sending the rest of the money to these people. A lot of people have been dropping in the comments saying, it's coming, the money's coming. I see no indication at the moment of that. I've seen nothing but a letter writing and a dead silence on the other side. I've seen nothing occurring currently for people who got an EIDL check for less, grant check for less than $10,000 and running where the remainder of the $10,000 is coming. I'm not going to sit here on this channel, and I do not mince words. Other channels will play that game with you and clickbait you and send you puppies and candy. I'm not going to do that for you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're going, if you got $2,000, you're going to get the other $8,000. It's just not happening. If it happens, or if I hear it's in the pipeline, I will tell you. But the fact that someone wrote a letter, who cares they wrote a letter? I mean, that is just, why may even make a video about that? That's ridiculous. Are you owed the rest of the $8,000? Absolutely. Should you have gotten $10,000? Absolutely. Are you getting $10,000 as of this Monday? No. Do I see it happening? No, I really don't. I don't see the remainder of that $10,000 coming to you, and I'll tell you why. Because CARES Act 2.0 is the focus now. CARES Act 2.0. They sort of, that's the way Congress thinks. They think, okay, we got to do all these things. We got 20,000 things we got lined up for CARES Act 2.0, and we're doing this and this and this, and then someone back here, you and us and everyone else, saying, oh, how about that EIDL grant? You messed up. How about that other money we didn't get? Oh. Well, we're on CARES Act 2.0. Well, they just move forward. They don't go backwards, these people. They went backwards for PPP for a little bit and said, let's put more money in the system. That was to make everything look good. But they don't like to admit that something didn't work right or someone digressed. Yeah, a few senators wrote a letter. Great, they wrote a letter. I just don't see it happening. What I'm telling you now is stay with us on this channel, comment, like, and subscribe, because there's going to be other mechanisms that are on the horizon other than EIDL grant. What a great week it's been. 8 days. This is day 8. The growth has been astronomical. I mean, the EIDL grant video was our biggest ever. We're young, this is new, and we're here to help you. We know this is all complicated, and we are here to help you understand what's going on. So as always, like and subscribe, and stay with LALATE for more.